I'm Alana.
And I'm Olivia, and welcome to BWN News. Today, we're here to talk about what's currently happening in World War II.
We have Joseph Stalin from the Soviet Union, and then Benito Mussolini from Italy, Adolf Hitler of Germany, and Hideki Tojo, the Emperor of Japan.
Narrowing in on the totalitarian regime, Joseph Stalin is taking his leadership to the next level. Under this regime, the government has complete control over all aspects of society, including the economy, the Communist Party being the only group that has authority. Stalin currently wants to raise agricultural production and modernize the industry by creating a state-planned economy and selling food abroad to earn cash, in order to achieve his goal of financing industrialization. Stalin has moved farmers onto state-owned farms and has carried out brutal purges in order to maintain his political control.
Now we'll turn it over to Colin, who is at the War Production Warehouse, getting an inside look at our mass production of war products.
Hi, I'm Colin Broderick, and we are here at the World War II Weapons Production Factory. Factories like these produced over $183 billion worth of weapons over the war. The WPB operated 12 regional offices with 120 field offices around the country.
Are you tired of feeling lonely? Do you want to become more involved with the rest of the world? Well, join the World Bank. The World Bank promotes the strengthening of economic and diplomatic ties between nations, creating a pathway to prevent future wars. The World Bank will provide loans, aid countries in war recovery, and help develop your economy. Join the World Bank today and become a part of the great policy of internationalism.
Welcome back. Oh wait, hold on. It looks like we have an incoming call from Sam, who is witnessing D-Day as we speak. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Let's switch it over to Sam.
This just in, American troops are about to storm the beaches of Normandy. 5 beaches: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. We're making our way there now. We're here at one of the 5 beaches off Normandy coast, where 156,000 Allied troops came and stormed the beaches to take back Normandy and other French territories. As you can see, there's lots of destruction. We have broken off branches, we have fallen over trees, and just a battlefield. Out of the 1,056 troops that came, 4,000 perished.
Thanks, Colin, for your awesome segment on the War Production Warehouse, and Sam for your piece on D-Day. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
So, what's the difference between the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the U.S. Bill of Rights? Well, we're here to tell you. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was to reinforce principles pertaining to the UN Charter, which includes reaffirming faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person, in the equal rights of men and women, and of nations large and small. It affirms basic human rights, including rights to life, liberty, equality before the law, freedom of religion, expression, and assembly. The U.S. Bill of Rights describes civil rights and liberties to the individual, like freedom of speech, press, and religion. It is the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, which includes American rights in relation to the government. Want to learn more? Go to www.declarationsandbills.org.
Welcome back. For our next piece, we have some information on life inside of the Nazi concentration camps.
I recently had the opportunity to visit the Auschwitz concentration camp in Poland. Here's a clip of me right outside of Auschwitz. Hi, I'm Alana, and I'm outside of the Auschwitz concentration camp, where many people are being held here in unfavorable conditions. The housing is overcrowded, which has resulted in a lot of diseases being spread, and another problem here is the malnutrition due to the lack of food and resources for all of the people. Another problem is all of the officers here working have committed unspeakable and cruel crimes against these people, including lying to them and ultimately sending them to their deaths.
Thanks, Alana. That was a really great piece. Now we'll be handing it back over to Colin, who will be interviewing one of the many women that works at the war factories.
Today I'm here with one of the workers at the factory that we're at. Please introduce yourself and state your name.
Hi, I'm Samantha Daly.
Okay, so first question, how did the role of women change or be impacted because of the war?
Well, because of the war, lots of men were drafted, and these men had jobs in factories or any other working areas. So the government recruited a lot more women to take these places, which gave women a big increase in, working outside of typical women jobs what women had these days.
Okay. Second question, what were some of the biggest changes, if there were any?
Well, like I said, a lot of the women had, typical jobs as secretaries or less physical, enduring jobs. So during World War II, a lot of women worked on aircraft and became welders. Not only that, women not focusing on production in war became, physicians or doctors or lawyers.
Okay. And how were your families impacted because of this?
Because of a lot of the husbands going off to war, not only were a lot of women expected to take on jobs by the government as in, war production things, but also take care of their families because there's only one parent around the house.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow, that was some crazy stuff. Now, Alana has told me that she got the opportunity to interview a historian where they discussed the origins of the Cold War and who is to blame.
Hi, today I'm here with historian Kaylee Chamberlain, and we're going to be discussing the Cold War. So Kaylee, my first question is, how would you summarize the Cold War?
So the Cold War was a post-war struggle for power between the two superpowers of the time, which was the United States and the Soviet Union. And the war was mostly of words, but the potential for violence definitely caused a lot of tension between the United States and the Soviet Union.
Okay, next, what would you say are some of the reasons that the Cold War could have occurred?
Well, the Cold War did begin in the rebuilding period after World War II, and the United States was functioning on a capitalist economy, and the Soviet Union was functioning on a communist system. And so the Soviet Union wanted to spread communism, and the United States wanted to prevent the spread of communism, and this caused a lot of tension between the two countries, ultimately causing the beginning of the Cold War.
Would you say that the creation and storage of weapons during the war created more tension between the US and the Soviet Union?
I believe that it did cause more tension because the United States went over to the UN proposing the Atomic Energy Commission, which proposed the idea that countries could no longer make atomic weapons. And this upset the Soviet Union because they believed that it was unfair that the United States, with this commission, would still be able to maintain their current atomic stockpile.
Lastly, do you believe the US was responsible for the Cold War?
You know, I believe that the Cold War was inevitable because there was already so much tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, with them functioning on different political systems, and the United States wanting to prevent the spread of communism, in which the Soviet Union wanted the opposite. So I think that the United States and Soviet Union are both to blame for the Cold War.
Wow, Kaylee, that was some really great information. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So, what caused the US to enter World War II? At first, the US had little involvement in the war, but Roosevelt still wanted to help the Allies, so he passed a bill that repealed the arms embargo, which previously banned the sale of arms to belligerent nations. The Lend-Lease Act provided aid to Britain, in which the US lended arms to Britain and the USSR.
But on December 7th, 1941, 300 bombers and fighter planes launched their attack on the U.S. Pacific Fleet residing in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The damage was devastating. 18 American ships were sunk or damaged, 300 military aircrafts were damaged or destroyed, 2,400 Americans died, and 1,200 were wounded. America declared war on Japan, and the next day, Roosevelt signed a declaration of war against Japan.
Now we'll be handing it over to Sam, who's talking about the justification of the bombings, including the bombing on Pearl Harbor.
Hello, I'm Sam Daly, and today I'm here with Colin Broderick, an expert on the Japan bombings. Was it reasonable to drop an atomic bomb?
I believe it was, because without the atomic bomb, we would have lost way more lives than we already did, than the 418,000 that we already did, 138,000 being military.
All right. Was it a financially good idea?
I think it was a financially good idea because the 2 explosions from the atomic bombs were equal to about 2,000 bombs from B-29 airplanes. So I think it was financially a good idea.
Was there a downside to the bombings?
I believe there was a downside because Japan was really somewhat defenseless because there was air raids bombing them constantly. There was a blockade on their ports. They just really didn't have many resources at all, and we just kind of came in and wiped them out. So I feel like it was a little bit uncalled for, but at the same time it ended the war. So
Was there conflict between the government and the military regarding the atomic bombs?
there actually was. So during the deciding process, the Secretary of Defense was contemplating it because Japan was nearly defenseless, and he didn't think it would be a fair fight for us to just go in and wipe them out if they didn't have a standing chance. But they eventually decided against it, for it, because of the suicide bombing runs and how many troops they killed.
All right. That was the justification of the Japan bombings. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Well, that's all we have for today, folks. Again, I'm Olivia.
And I'm Alana, and this has been BWN News.